This is the 2023 LEGO Star Wars UCS X-Wing Starfighter. Given set number 75355 with 1,949 pieces, it sells for $240 in the US. Given that the UCS X-Wing from 10 years ago retailed for just $40 less with 400 less pieces, this X-Wing could potentially be a really good value, as we'll find out within this review. But there is another UCS X-Wing released in the year 2000, and the box art of this new UCS X-Wing actually takes cues from the box art of that original UCS X-Wing. Now, this X-Wing set also has another nod to that original UCS X-Wing set that you may not like as much as you might like the box art. Inside the box, you'll find bags numbered up to 10, and I was missing a piece, more on that in a minute, plus your instruction manual along with a printed display card and printed windscreen piece. Within the instruction manual, you have the typical introduction to LEGO Star Wars UCS sets at this point, a fun read if you want to pause and do so, but I'd like to pause on the imagery at the end where LEGO Star Wars feels the need to explain to you that you can indeed place this LEGO set on a table. This must be a callback to my hit video a couple years ago. Back to my missing piece. In the last bag of the set, they gave me 5 of these white cylindrical pieces, but only 3 of the cone pieces, when there are really supposed to be 4 of each. Luckily, I had another UCS X-Wing handy, and I took the piece out of that one's bag 10, but missing pieces is something I never see on my LEGO builds, so I had to share this rare occurrence. Anyway, this set gets 2 minifigs, first being R2-D2 with a high-quality dome print that's only slanted between 5 and 10 degrees. I mean, come on, at this point, it's a little ridiculous, just fix it. But R2 does get the back print, which is a nice thing they introduced last year. But the character you really might want this set for is the pilot Luke Skywalker with the dual molded legs for the first time ever. I think this figure looks absolutely phenomenal, head to toe. Well, almost head to toe. What it really needs is printing on the side of the helmet, something they did on that 2018 helmet, and something they have the technology to do on these older style helmets, as we see it on another character from this May 2023 wave. The helmet really is the one blemish on this minifigure. Now, as to the newly printed, no longer stickered, UCS display plaques, the X-Wing's print is really sharp. It is a really good looking piece in person, and I'm really happy with the way it came out overall. However, there is an asterisk to that statement. I really wasn't going to say anything, but LEGO is up to their old ways again when it comes to this X-Wing set. If we take a look dead center on the plaque, you'll see the mold mark. Definitely a blemish on what is otherwise a really good looking piece, and what could be a perfect piece if it didn't have a mold mark. And that's what LEGO wants you to think it is. If you look on the back of the box for this X-Wing set, you won't be able to see what turns out to be a bad looking mold mark on your display plaque. But even worse to me is when they clearly photoshopped this mark out of marketing imagery for this set. That is blatant false advertising and is frankly completely unacceptable. Something that employees should really be fired over. You can't have that sort of thing. But regardless, that opens the ability up to me to criticize this, and because LEGO has found the need to hide it, that means they think it's bad, which means it should be changed. They do go out of their way with other pieces to move mold marks from time to time when they change out the mold, so hopefully in the near future we will see a version of this piece that no longer has that blemish on the front, especially given that this is the centerpiece to some of LEGO's most premium products. Why not make it the most premium it can be? So they came in with a really good intention, but left me with a very sour taste in my mouth. The display stand for this X-Wing is a really cool callback to the early 2000s. They used to use these really sharp sloped pieces for their display stand feet, and then they changed to a much cleaner sloped look in the 2010s. So this stand is definitely a nostalgic blast from the past as far as the design goes. However, I can definitely see some people not liking this because it is such an outdated design at this point, and there's not a particularly great reason for this X-Wing to be using this design. Starting at the nose of the X-Wing, they used the same color as the body, being white, but I think that was the wrong choice here. If we look at the material on the first page of the instruction manual, the nose is clearly a darker color than the body. Maybe there's other material that says otherwise, but if that's the picture you're going to include front and center, I think your model should match. Moving down the body of the X-Wing, I think they did a pretty good job with this, although a lot of people think it's a little bit fat, and I kind of agree there. It definitely looks a bit hefty, but it gives the set a real sense of size with how big the body of the X-Wing is. It's actually kind of nice. On the underside, it is completely flat, and I was kind of hoping third rendition of a UCS X-Wing we'd finally get landing gear, but it's not here. The cockpit for this X-Wing has received a major upgrade, and for the first time, the windscreen piece is actually printed. On prior versions of the UCS X-Wing, it was a sticker, and if you mess that up, you would be left with sticker residue, and it would look really ugly, but this printed piece is beautiful. I also really like that sand blue color that matches the brick that's right beneath it. I think that that is a really satisfying part of this build. They use stickers to decorate the inside, which I find to be very acceptable here. They also have the retractable targeting sight and a nice seating area for Luke Luke Skywalker. Very cool interior to this UCS X-Wing, and I cannot emphasize enough how great it is to have a printed windscreen piece on this set versus the stickers of old. You don't know how good you have it if you haven't experienced the old stickers for these. Right behind the cockpit is a small opening for R2-D2, and I think he both sits too low in this spot and is too small. I mean, they wouldn't have you put the minifigure Luke in the cockpit, so why would you put the minifigure R2-D2 behind the cockpit? Working further back on the Starfighter, we'll find very nice greebling detail on the top, but we'll also find some very ugly large gaps on this X-Wing, and they're kind of important functionally, but aesthetically, they still look bad. And last thing before we talk about the wing functionality, I promise you can see the awesome detail on the back of the X-Wing here. The engines also look really great, especially having replaced my missing piece, so I actually have all 4 engines properly attached there. Really like the way that looks. They've used that pink color for a long time on the backside of X-Wings, and it really does pop. So when it comes to the functionality of the wings, I believe they use what you would call a scissor design. Basically, the top and bottom of opposite sides move with each other, and the other wings are independent of that, and they move with each other as well. So cool, interesting, different design than I think we've seen in the past. There's also some rubber bands inside, so it'd be interesting to see how that wears over time, but we really don't know right now. On the top of the X-Wing, this piece here is what you spin. From the back, you spin it to the right, and you will get the wings to open into their attack position, and they can lock into place, so you don't have to worry about them falling back down. Even if you push on them, they're not going to be going anywhere, although you can see the model is very wobbly, but they don't move back down, which is nice, and then if you spin it just a little bit more, they will move back down and close nice and softly to the closed position, which doesn't look all that great. If you look at it front on, the wings look rather saggy when it's in the closed position, so I don't really see an option other than to display the X-Wing with the wings open. I feel like you just kind of have to. The brick-built detail on top of the wings really fits the LEGO vibe. In years past, they've used stickers. I think this looks far better than the stickers. It really, really does. But they do use a sticker just below that for a detail inside of the wing that they really wouldn't have been able to accomplish otherwise, and I think that's okay too. And it's kind of neat. Not something that I feel like needed to be there, but it looks really good. There's a non-striped sticker on the opposite side of the X-Wing, and on the underside of both wings is nothing. There's no sticker under there. Now, of course, we have to talk the engine intake design, and they used what I thought used to be an illegal building technique. Of course, that's something that's completely arbitrary that LEGO decides on from time to time, and in this case, they've just stuck tiles between plates. It looks really good, but again, I thought it was an illegal building technique, so surprised to see it being used here. A lot of people have said the engines might just be too large, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I do, however, think they sit too high, and a lot of the reference material, the top of the engine, really only goes about as high as the top of R2's head, if not just slightly higher, but these are much higher than that, and I think that's what looks awkward about this model. If anything, is just how high the engines seemingly sit. As for the laser cannons on this X-Wing, they look really good, and they make a really good use of the flipper piece. Just really cool part usage on this set. They have different designs on each with stripes on that one. That one's a more solid design, stripes again on that one, and again a more solid design down there. So I think the laser cannons look pretty sweet on this model, but if anything's criticizable about this build as looking bad, I think it's just kind of the way the engines look or sit. There's just something about that that has most people not loving it 100%. If you're in the market for a UCS X-Wing, this is likely your only option, as you're not going to spend at least $1,000 on the original or $500 on the 2013 model, but you are getting a really good value at $240 with this set. I think in the realm of LEGO sets, they're actually, even though they recently increased the price on stuff like this from $200 to $240, providing a good value. I think I've given you a good synopsis of the good, the bad, and the ugly about this X-Wing set, and I think for 2023, it was a good time to release a set like this, given a lot of people have gotten back into LEGO Star Wars or into LEGO Star Wars for the first time over the last few years, and probably don't have a UCS X-Wing, so this will be a hot seller, whether it's good or bad, honestly. I'm going to give it a 7.7 out of 10. I think it could have used a bit of work in a few different places, and certainly a better Luke helmet, but ultimately, I think people are gonna like this that are especially casual LEGO Star Wars fans that just want a UCS X-Wing. This is a great set for you. You'll be very happy. Thank you for choosing to watch my honest review of the LEGO Star Wars UCS X-Wing. If you decide you want to pick one up, please use my affiliate link in the description below. Help support the channel and cost you nothing extra, and you can check out more 2023 LEGO Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.